Okay, so here we are live once again with the last of this wave of Mcfarlane Superpowers figures. Looking forward to the next wave. We're going to have Superman, The Flash, Captain Cold, Cheetah. Who else was in that wave? A lot of cool. Bizarro, I think, is supposed to be in that wave. A lot of cool stuff coming up. Looking forward to it. A lot of cool McFarlane multiverse stuff coming up. We've got the first appearance Wonder Woman finally that I've been hoping for a long time. Anyway, we're gonna finish up this wave of superpowers with my personal favorite character of all time, Batman. So we're going to have a few Batman figures here to talk about. We're going to open this one up, and we're going to open up his Universe of Evil counterpart, the Platinum Edition Super Enemies Batman. Oh, yeah. So let's go ahead and get started on this. We've been over the packaging several times this week, but let's go ahead and have a look at that artwork because I do like that artwork. Classic Bronze Age style superhero artwork. My personal favorite type of superhero artwork. Got that kind of rainbowy, multicolored stripe background, like we remember from the first season of Super Friends, in the opening credits. Let's go ahead and get him opened up because I'm excited about this, and it is really wanting to stick to the paper, isn't it? Look at this. Look at this. This just gonna have to puncture it and tear it off that way. All right, so here is the trading card. That's starting out good. They really glued this very well. And the trading card is taped onto the package in such a way where, man, they really don't want you to be able to get any of this stuff off of here. So the trading card got damaged. Hopefully, the Universe of Evil trading card won't be bent up like this, since I'm sure it will be the same trading card. But you can see it got kind of bent at the corner there. Of course, the back is the same as on the other Super Friends trading cards that we've gotten so far. But I do really like the piece of artwork with Batman running into action, and I believe that's the image of Batman as the entire Justice League is running into action in the opening credits of Challenge of the Super Friends, which is kind of an odd shot. It's based off of a Neil Adams cover, and I think they switched out Captain Marvel for Aquaman because Captain Marvel wasn't actually a character on the show, but yeah, basically redrawn in the Super Friends style, so based on a Neil Adams pose. So pretty cool. There we go. And it was like a still shot, but they just kind of moved it towards the camera, so it looked kind of like they were running. It works in an opening credits kind of way. So let's see. We've got two accessories that come with Batman, and it's two accessories you would probably expect to come with a Super Friends Batman. One is a Batarang, which is an accessory I'd want to have with any Batman figure, really. And the other is the Justice League communication device. So let's go ahead and get that out first. And man, the tape is just wanting to stick to that. I'm having all kinds of problems with the packaging on this figure. I don't know why. But to compare it with Green Lanterns, and I would have thought that they would have been identical, but they actually aren't, because you can see that on Green Lanterns, it does have these buttons painted in. You can see that they're painted in black or like a darker gray or something like that. Whereas Batman's, it's all just the same shade of gray. Now the little yellow buttons are painted in, but the gray buttons aren't. So that's interesting that they chose to do it that way. And then we have this Batarang, which go ahead and get that out. And this is like a ridiculously huge Batarang. Like I kind of felt like the Batarangs that came with the Adam West Batman figures, and the same one comes with the here it is right here, the new Batman Adventures or New Adventures of Batman Batarang. I kind of felt like those were a little undersized that they could have been a little larger. But this one, it's like they overcorrected. This one, like we're gonna see it in his hand in a little bit, but it's just gonna look gigantic in his hand. So let's go ahead and get Batman himself out of the package. And one thing that I actually like about how they did the rubber tabs on this one is you can see that the rubber tabs go under the utility belt. They're over the trunks rather than being over the utility belt itself. So I don't have to worry about them cutting into the utility belt, leaving like a crease in there or messing up the paint. Edward is here, and he says, "Have you seen the pizza shooter?" If you mean the Ninja Turtles pizza shooter, yes, I have. I've seen that one in the stores a couple of times. I didn't really buy it because I haven't really been buying much of the reproduction Ninja Turtle stuff. I think it's cool. I'm glad to see it, but honestly, like I've still got like a lot of old Ninja Turtles toys. So I hadn't really been buying that at all. I think when I saw that at the store, also like I had other things that I was already buying, but I didn't think it was really cool they put that out again. So that would probably be, I think, like besides the obviously the party wagon and the turtle blimp. I think the pizza thrower is probably the most iconic of all the Ninja Turtles vehicles. So here we have Batman out of the package, and looking at the cape, it looks like he has the same type of issues with the cape that the other Batman figures have, where it's kind of crooked, and the scallops on it aren't very even. But I think that that's more of a stylistic choice than anything else. Like I think it's supposed to just kind of look like that's just the way the cape's draping over the shoulders. So I kind of hoped maybe they would do something a little different with the Super Friends Batman cape, but it does not appear like they did. So let's get a good look at that head sculpt. I really like the head sculpt. It looks very close to Alex Toth's design of Batman on the Super Friends cartoon, and you can see that they did give him a new neck piece. So this is if we compare him to our previous animated figure in this style, the New Adventures of Batman figure, I think that this is definitely an improvement because like this one they just basically gave him a new head. This one he just got a new head and that's it. He's got the same neck piece as the regular Adam West figure. He's got the same belt as the regular Adam West figure. This one they gave him a new neck piece and they gave him a new belt. And man, that new neck piece, I think it just like it really makes it look like an animated version. And the crazy thing is that this does reuse the rest of the body from the Adam West figure. It's still got all the wrinkles and the gloves and the wrinkles and the boots and everything like that. But that kind of stuff just isn't as noticeable as the neck piece. Like on this guy, you can tell that's an Adam West live action Batman cowl, like on the neck piece. But this one they adjusted it, and you can see that the cowl kind of drapes lower on the neck, so that kind of covers up where the cape is in the front. And I think it just generally looks better. Like this looks fine as like as a regular Adam West Batman, but I always kind of felt like they could have done better with this one, and this just kind of proves me right. So I do still really like this figure. I feel like this is a great Silver Age type Batman. This is a great Bronze Age type Batman, and like I said, Bronze Age is my Batman. Like my Batman starts with Neil Adams. That's where my Batman really starts. And I don't mean to disrespect anything that came before. Obviously I love the Adam West television show. I love a lot of the Golden Age comics. I love a lot of the Silver Age comics. I got nothing for respect for guys like Jerry Robinson and Dick Sprang and Carmine Infantino and Irv Novick and a lot of the other artists that came before Neil Adams, Shelley Maldoff. There's a lot of great Batman artists that we could be rattling off here, which came before Neil Adams. But my Batman really started with Neil Adams. That's all I'm saying. Edward says, pretty cool figures, man. It sure is cool to see these figures. Well, thank you. Yeah, so I did want to do some comparisons with the other Batman. So here's the we're not gonna do all of the Batman figures because there's been a lot of them, obviously. But here he is with the basic vanilla Adam West Batman. And honestly, I kind of feel like this shade of blue is closer to what this shade of blue should have had in the first place. But because you had different belt, different neck piece, different head, but they reuse everything else. And I think it's because Adam West is wearing that old school spandex outfit. It doesn't have a whole lot of muscle definition, just like it didn't allow him a whole lot of muscle definition on the show. Uh, but but it works really well for an animated figure. Even this one, like despite what I was saying about the neck piece, I still feel like it still works really well for an animated figure. To me, it looks more like Carmine Infantino's artwork in the comics, but that's just my opinion. Uh, but yeah, this is to me a perfect sort of. This is what Batman looked like in the 1970s for the most part, and I really enjoy it. So they did a great job with it. Head sculpt is spot on. All the head sculpts have been really good in this wave, and I've liked them all. I don't know who I would say is the best one, but it might be Batman. It might be Sinestro. Sinestro looks great. Like Sinestro, at least up until I opened this one, was probably my favorite figure that I'd opened so far. And honestly, with Batman being my favorite character, like I'm gonna be a little bit biased. There was always a good chance that Batman was gonna be my favorite figure in this wave anyway. But but yeah, they knocked it out of the park with this one. Batman looks great. So let's go ahead and talk about the articulation. Batman can't look up or down very far, but he can look up or down a little bit. He can't really tilt his head from side to side. The head does rotate all the way around. I kind of figure that these heads on these figures are just made to rotate all the way around, and if you can get any kind of side to side or up and down movement out of it, like that's just a bonus. Batman's arms rotate all the way around at the shoulders. We've reviewed this Batman figure several times before, so you've heard me talk about this Batman figure several times before, but we might as well talk about it again for anybody who hasn't seen it. So Batman's arms can raise up to the sides about that far. He's got a single joint of articulation at the elbow, which bends about that far and rotates all the way around. These are not as well articulated as a Mcfarlane multiverse figure, but they are a little bit better articulated than a Superpowers figure, so it's kind of somewhere in between. Technically, these are considered retro figures, but I don't think that there's really anything retro about this form factor. This is not what action figures look like in the 70s or 80s. We didn't really get into the scale until the 90s, and it was because Mcfarlane and Toy Biz were pioneering it at the time. So Batman does have an extra bit of articulation most of these figures don't have, which is right where the glove meets the forearm. There is a bit of articulation, and you might think that it might be pointless to have articulation at both the forearm and the wrist, but really I think it's just to make sure that the cuffs stay in line with however you want to pose it. Bong Donkey Secret 77 says the Batman OG series from late series was trippy, over the top acting, etc. LOL. Well, yeah, that was the point. Like the famous story goes like this: is William Dozier was not really a fan of comics. He wasn't really aware of them. So when he was going on a plane trip, he stopped by the newsstand at the airport and just grabbed all the Batman comics that they had at the newsstand. And one of those, of course, was the first Silver Age appearance of the Riddler. The one where Batman and Robin are both punching the Riddler as he's spinning around on the cover with that shocking pink background, and the same color background that they used in the Batman in color frame at the beginning of the show. Oddly enough. Coincidence? I think not. But anyway, yeah, that became the first episode of the show, the first two-parter. But yeah, he was sitting on the airplane reading these comic books, and the stewardess came by and saw him with this big stack of comic books, and saw him and it said comic books. I thought those were only for like retarded kids. Wow. You get fired for that these days. Anyway, that was when he turned to his wife and said, "You know, the only way I'm going to be able to sell this show to adults is if we make it so over the top that it's ridiculous. And that way, the adults will look at it as being a comedy, but the kids will still take it seriously." And that was kind of the genius of the old Batman television show. Is like, I know when I was a kid and I watched it, it was a serious action adventure show. I go back and I watch it now, and I see a lot of the humor in it. Now I'm still able to, kind of put my mind back into that sort of kid mindset. I'm kind of blessed in that way, and I can still enjoy it for being what it is, for being that kind of action adventure. But I can still kind of get a lot of the humor that went over my head when I was a kid. So best of both worlds kind of thing. I still love the show. I still watch the show frequently. But it's not going to be to everybody's taste nowadays, especially because nowadays everybody takes Batman so seriously. Oh my God, that's to be dark and gritty and dramatically, damaged and whatever. Batman's a superhero. Like it's like I'm not saying you can't do Batman in such a way, and there's lots of dark, tortured, traumatized versions of Batman that I love. Like my favorite Batman comic of all time is Grant Morrison and Dave McKean's Arkham Asylum. That's about as dark as a Batman comic can get. But I can still enjoy, like, Adam West or Batman the Brave and the Bold. Like to me, he's a character that's much broader and much more elastic, and you can tell all kinds of different stories with Batman, and it still works. Bong Donkey Secret 67 says, "I grew up watching it in reruns." Yeah, me too. That was where I saw it, because I was born like literally 10 years after the show premiered. So yeah, reruns was kind of my introduction to the character and his world. And to me, it's still like one of the best versions, like as far as like summing up the character. Like Batman the animated series is probably absolute pinnacle version of the character, but to me 1966 is still up there. So yeah, let's get another shot of him side by side with the New Adventures version. And these versions were both on television at the same time, both made by completely different companies, because Filmation made the New Adventures of Batman and Hanna-Barbera made Challenge of the Super Friends. So there is some overlap there, and also overlap in the fact that both of these versions of Batman were voiced by Adam West, because Adam West voiced the New Adventures of Batman cartoon and voiced the later two seasons of Super Friends. And both of them were voiced by Olin Soleil, because this guy was the same design they used in the 1960s Adventures of Batman and Robin cartoon. And this guy was, again, Challenge of the Super Friends. So Olin Soleil voiced both of them. Bong Donkey Secret 7 says, "Me too. I'm 50." And, I'm 49. So I'm almost there. Almost there. I'll be there in March. So yeah, good times. To me, it was the best time to grow up as a Batman fan, because you got started with that 1960s version of Batman, and by the time I was in my adolescence, I'd grown up reading the comics, and as much as I loved the television show, continued to love the television show, still love the television show, I was really ready for a darker, more comic book style Batman in live action, and I was blessed with the 1989 Batman. So perfect timing for me at the age of 13 to see that 1989 Batman. So a couple other figures I want to compare him to real quick is Mcfarlane's previous Superpowers Batman from the Superpowers line. And you can see the colors are pretty close, but not identical. So and both of these I feel like are pretty accurate, depending on this one looks like to me like a little more dingy on the film grade, if that makes any sense. This is when I saw the reruns of Super Friends on the UHF station, or when they were running them on WTBS. back in the day. And let's go ahead, and since I've got him over here, and I was just mentioning Michael Keaton. There is Michael Keaton in the comic book covers, the Iron Winch Batman figure from the Dark Knight collection that Kenner made. So there we go. Bong Donkey Secret 77 says, any opinion on the new Penguin series? I haven't seen it because honestly, I wasn't too impressed with the Robert Pattinson movie, and I keep having people tell me it's good, but people also told me the Robert Pattinson movie was good, and I just wasn't into that at all. But hey, people seem to like it, and good on them for liking it. I'm sure it's a good series. I'm just not interested in that version of Batman. It doesn't appeal to me. So sorry, it's just how it is. So there's too many other versions of Batman that I like that I'd rather watch. All right, so I think that's everything that I have to say about our standard version. So let's go ahead and move on to the universe of evil. Oh yeah, we got the universe of evil Batman. So we're gonna go and open him up. Now I remember that this was one that really stuck with me when I was a kid, and the idea of a universe where instead of the super friends, you had the super enemies, and they were bad guys on there, like actually causing a volcano to erupt instead of trying to stop it from erupting. And since they were both doing it at the same time, that caused the two Supermen to get switched. So we got the evil Superman over in the Super Friends universe, and the good Superman over in the evil universe of the super enemies. So anyway, Batman had this rather sinister looking black costume, which makes him kind of look like a Halloween devil costume almost. But I think it works. So let's go ahead and open him up. And again, this one, it seemed like it was really glued at the top, but you can see there's almost no glue at the side. So it's like that with these Mcfarlane figures these days, because like I don't know, it seems to me like either they're glued on there like as forcefully as they can be, or they're just like so little glue that like it'll fall off if like a baby breathes on it. So let's go ahead, and I'm just gonna cut the tape on this one because I don't want to take a chance on getting this card bent up, because this is my second chance on this Batman trading card. I do not want to get it damaged. So let's go ahead and very carefully pull it out of the plastic sleeve. There we go. You can see it is the same exact card. They didn't bother to recolor them red or anything like that. Usually that's how it is with the Platinum editions, even if it's a completely different character, which technically this is, or at least a parallel universe version. They usually don't bother to print out a new trading card. Like say with the Shazam Page Punchers figure, Captain Thunder did not get his own trading card. It's still just the same trading card that came with the regular Captain Marvel figure. But I never even got the regular one. I was never able to find the regular one. I was able to get the like I said in that review, I was able to get the platinum version on eBay for cheaper than you could get the standard version, and that one was still more expensive than because I'm buying on eBay. But I got a second version of the platinum, the one that I made into the standard Captain Marvel. That you can see the short about that here on YouTube. Actually, I found that at Walmart. So oddly enough, the Platinum Edition seems easier to get than the regular edition on that one. I don't know. So he's got the same accessories, except for his Batarang is in this dark red color, this kind of burgundy color. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a second once I get Batman out of the package. I'm trying to be really careful with these capes because I don't want them to get hung up on any rough spots on the blister when I pull it out. But there he is out of the package. And you can see he's got this all red costume, which looks very sinister. And like even the utility belt and the emblem, which normally would be yellow, it's got more of a reddish tinge to it. It's like this. The whole thing's red, but the belt and the emblem are like an orangish sort of red, maybe even more reddish orange, but you can see that but yeah, it's just it's almost like if you just took a regular Batman costume and dyed it red, and it wound up being like three different shades of red because it's three different colors, but it's still all red. So, and then the blue portions of Batman's costume are now depicted in this burgundy color, and the gray portions are in a bright red. And we do have another Batman figure to compare with that because we have Italian Batman, who, of course, in the Italian comics wore a red costume, and then the movie poster in Italy, they gave him a red costume because that was what he was wearing in the comics at the time. But you can see him next to a red version of Adam West. Now, we don't need really go over the articulation on this guy because we just went over the articulation on the standard one. But let's go ahead and talk about the accessories. So one thing that I didn't mention when I was talking about the articulation, and I usually mention this when I talk about the articulation, but we can talk about it now, is that his hands, one of which is a gripping hand, and one of which is a solid fist. See, solid fist, gripping hand. So he can only hold one accessory at a time. So let's go ahead and first put the communications device in his hand and see what he looks like with that. So now Batman can call the rest of the super enemies and call them to wreak havoc or pull some kind of big heist or something like that. Bong Donkey Secret 7 says, I'm from Sicilia originally. Cool Italiano figure. Yeah, I thought so. To me, the coolest thing about it is knowing the history of the character, and I'm sure a lot of people would have seen is here in the United States. A lot of people would have seen this and just been confused as to why is Adam West wearing a red Batman outfit, but I saw it and I instantly knew because I know my shit when it comes to Batman. But yeah, I saw it and I'm like, oh, it's Italian Batman. I have to have that. kind of like Dirk Diggler. I'm like, oh, this Batman's great. Why is it accurate to the TV show? No, it's Italian. But yeah, like how he was obsessed with things that were Italian. But yeah, it was really cool that they did this, and that was a deep cut. And I imagine that like if you guys got this figure over in Italy, that would be where it would be, oh my God, they made our Batman. And like I said when I was talking about that in that video, like eventually in Italy they did start to put Batman back into a gray outfit, but for the longest time, yeah, he was wearing a red outfit in the Italian reprints with Nimbo Kid. If you know, you know. So let's go ahead and move on to the other accessory, which is the Batarang, the gigantic red Batarang. And unfortunately, that does not seem to fit as well in his hand. If you try to put it in lengthwise, there you see it kind of doesn't quite fit. It's very narrow. So you got to kind of put it into his hand, like Denislav Petrov is here, and he says hello. Well, hello right back. But yeah, if you put it in there like that way, he can kind of grip onto it and you get him in a kind of a throwing position. Probably throwing it at the heroic Riddler that's a member of the Legion of Niceness or, whatever. Legion of Good. And since we hadn't seen our heroic Super Friends Batman with his Batarang, let's go ahead and put that in his hand and have a look at that. And yeah, he looks great holding that, doesn't he? It is, like I said, way too big, but you can get a good Batarang throw pose out of these, so that's nice. And since these Batarangs are so gigantic, you can also have them like have a sword fight with them. It's pretty cool. Red Oni, blue Oni. Lone Dragon is here. And man, not only did you miss the unboxing, you missed two unboxings. Because I opened up both of these guys. Man, like the Green Lantern episode was so short. That thing was like 9 minutes tops. And I was like, well, said everything I had to say about Green Lantern, moving on. Batman, I've been here for a half an hour. I'm still blathering on about it. But they look really cool together, don't they? Don't they look cool together? Like just the way the colors contrast and everything like that. That's another figure that's going to be coming out in the next wave. Reminds me is the super enemies Superman, our universe of evil Superman. So Superman in his black costume with the funky Alice Cooper makeup. I'm definitely excited about that one. I don't know if we'll ever see the other super enemies, but honestly, Batman and Superman were like the coolest ones and were the ones that would work best as figures anyway. I know Robin had the little mustache and Aquaman had an eye patch, but I don't think they were too different other than that. I think maybe Robin had black on his suit where it's supposed to be green, but I don't remember if that's the case or if I'm just remembering it that way. I think that would probably look really cool if they did it that way. Aquaman, just like I said, he just kind of had an eye patch. I think he was wearing slightly darker colors. Wonder Woman was wearing slightly darker colors, and I think like had like higher cheekbones or something. Like she just kind of looked more sinister in a vague sort of way. But yeah, Batman was the one where I was just like, dude, just put him in a red Batman outfit, and he looks awesome. Lone Dragon says, "I'd bet, I'd buy a porn stash Robin figure." Yeah, well, it wasn't quite like a porn stash so much as it was like an Errol Flynn, like just a little pencil kind of David Niven, Vincent Price, that kind of mustache. But yeah, porn stash Robin could be a way to go. Maybe they should have done that with Nightwing. Maybe when he became Nightwing, he should have just grown himself like a big old mustache and that would have been funny. It would have looked really good with the 80s Nightwing costume with the disco collar. That would have been great. Uh, Lone Dragon says, I'd watch Vincent Price prawn. Well, you're not alone in that. pretty sure, pretty sure he would have been a popular guy. Not as popular as Roddy McDowell, because Roddy McDowell was a very gifted actor. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I heard anyway. I wouldn't know from personal experience. That's what I heard. So anyway, Batman, both versions of Batman turned out great, and it's funny. This was actually one of the first ones I bought. I bought him and the Riddler because when I found them at Walmart, I said, well, these are the platinum versions, so they're probably going to be harder to find. So I need to make sure I pick these up immediately. They call him Big. They call him Big Rod. I bet they did. He wasn't called Roddy McDowell for nothing. But yeah, the Super Friends figures did sell out very quickly though, so I was not able to get that Batman, unfortunately, by the time my paycheck rolled around. But I was able to pick him up on GameStop, and that meant that I was able to use PayPal and do a pay in four kind of thing when I got the other figures. So that always takes the hit out of it. I always like using the PayPal when I can. So yeah, I was able to get the whole wave of these, and hopefully I'll be able to get the whole next wave. I want to get all these Super Friends figures, and I hope they're able to get the whole Legion of Doom out by this time next year. But let's see, that's 13 figures. So far, we have 3. We're going to have 2 more when we have Captain Cold and the Cheetah. So that'll be 5. And that'll leave 8, I think. I'm bad at math. So it's possible they might be able to get the rest of those out. But even then, a couple of those are going to be larger figures. Like Solomon Grundy is going to be a big figure. Uh, Grodd should be a larger figure. Giganta even if you just make her at her normal size, she'd be like bigger than your standard female figure, so you wouldn't be able to use. She'd have to be like an entirely original figure, wouldn't she? So yeah, but uh, but yeah, like hopefully, knock on wood, we should be able to get the rest of the Legion of Doom. I'm looking forward to them anyway. So, but that's it for Super Friends. I hope you enjoyed this look at this new line that I'm really enjoying, and hopefully we'll at least. Oh, Aquaman! That's the other figure that was in that wave that I forgot. No, wait, Aquaman's the one that it's going to be in the next wave after that. So yeah, they already leaked what was going to be in the next wave after that. So uh and you got to do Wonder Woman because like Superman, Batman, Robin, Aquaman, Wonder Woman. That's your five core super friends. So you absolutely need to have those. Oh, ciao to you too, Bong Donkey Secret 7. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks to Lone Dragon for stopping by. Uh, and thanks to Denisov Petrov for stopping by. I think that's everybody. But that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Batman, both the character in general and these figures specifically. I always like to talk about Batman. So any comments about Batman in the credits are welcome. So that's all for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. We'll be back with probably something from the DC multiverse, but I don't know what yet. We'll talk to you later. Bye.